Judge, where are you right now?
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We have a very special show today. I know I say that almost every show, but we really do. And what we try to accomplish every week is to provide an education, information, and guidelines on subjects that are of interest to the public in general. We don't do opinions or anything, but we do educate. So today we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to me, and that's called Parkinson's disease. And more importantly, we know basically what it is, but we want to talk about what can be done, both physically and mentally, to deal with it. Statistically, there are many, many, many people who are suffering from Parkinson's disease of various kinds, both physical and mental. So today, our guest is Lisa Oliver, who happens to be my coach, as a matter of fact. And the reality is that she's going to tell you about a very interesting program. She's the head coach of something called Rock Steady Boxing. You know, when I first was diagnosed with Parkinson's, I really didn't know what to do about it. I knew I would end up with taking medicine and things like that. But my wife saw an ad someplace about boxing. I said, boxing? What the hell has that got to do with Parkinson's? Well, I did some research, which is what I generally do anyway. And I found out that it was recommended by many neurologists, that there's scientific research that has been done, and that Rocksteady Boxing has been around for quite some time now and has had really great results. And I know that to be true because I've been there now about 3 years, and I've seen remarkable improvement personally, that it's basically halted the progression of the disease. And in some ways, it's even improved to the point where my quality of life has been a lot better. So I want to introduce my coach, and she's going to tell you a lot about what the program is about, what it's designed to do, the methodology, and basically the accomplishments statistically of what's happened since the program began. I think it was at least about 2008. Is that when it started?
Well, Rocksteady Boxing started in Indiana, in Indianapolis, Indiana, in 2006. So the method that we call the Rocksteady Boxing method has been around for a long time. And we here at Rocksteady Boxing VCLA, which is the Ventura County, Los Angeles affiliate of Rocksteady Boxing, we have been actively running this program at Rocksteady Boxing VCLA since 2014. So that is going on 11 years. And in that time, the diagnosis of Parkinson's worldwide, but especially in the United States, is on the rise. So it's critical that programs like ours that are scientifically proven to delay the progression of the disease and decrease symptoms of the disease, and sometimes even reverse symptoms of the disease, it's critical that programs like ours exist for the Parkinson's community. So going back a little bit from that, Judge, which you so aptly put, first of all, I am your coach, right? So this is a very interesting show that we're doing today. And I am Coach Lisa Oliver, and I am just one of two owners of Rocksteady Boxing VCLA. And we run 4 gyms in the Ventura County, Los Angeles area, going on 5 pretty soon, but don't tell anyone I told you that, okay? What happens on the podcast stays on the podcast, okay? So that's on the down low.
But I know there's 950 gyms around the world, really. So even though there are only 4 and soon to be 5 here, they are located in many places. In fact, I was thinking this morning that I know you do it, Zoom. In fact,
Yes.
I have to go to the gym, and I'd like to have you do a demonstration, but we don't have the physical capabilities of doing that. But they can take the course no matter where they live and still get the benefits of a session. Now,
yes,
I know that a session for us lasts about an hour and a quarter.
yes,
It usually starts at 10:30, and
yes.
we're back quarter to 12. So tell us a little bit about the program, how it starts, what is done, what we hope to accomplish, and what we do accomplish, and give us some stories if you don't mind.
Okay, so earlier you said that when your wife proposed to you that you should go to a boxing class to fight Parkinson's symptoms, and you were shocked. That is the general reaction from pretty much everybody. Why boxing? Why would a bunch of people with Parkinson's disease, usually between the ages of 50 to 90 years old, want to go into a boxing gym and put on boxing gloves? Okay. So the rock steady boxing method, as you also mentioned, which is really important for people to hear this part, it is scientifically proven through years of research from every university, whether it's Purdue University, USC Keck, UCLA, the Cleveland Clinic, the Mayo Clinic, all of these huge medical organizations that people know about have been researching this method since the early 2000s. And the program was first started in, like we said, in Indiana in 2006. So there is a ton of scientific backing to the method that we teach that marries together something we call forced intense exercise, or FIE, with an experienced coach like myself and our other coaches who push people past perceived limitations. So that's PPPL, in the form of boxing techniques. And you put those 3 things together, and you've got the rock steady boxing method that is scientifically proven to help people with Parkinson's. Okay. The other thing you mentioned is, what is Parkinson's disease? Now, I am not a doctor. I am not a neurologist. I'm going to tell you the most basic thing, and that is that Parkinson's disease is a movement disorder. So in order to fight it, you got to have movement. And it's got to be more than casual movement. It can't just be walking the dog, okay? It's got to be the things we just mentioned: forced intense exercise, pushing people past perceived limitations. What they think they can do is different than what we know they can do. Okay. And you combine that with boxing technique. Why boxing? What does a boxer need to work on to be successful in the ring? They need balance. They need control. They need stability, agility, flexibility, speed, eye-hand coordination, mental focus. These are all the things that people with Parkinson's are being challenged by. That's what the disease attacks. It attacks their ability to be balanced, to have mobility, to be flexible. So we're going to take boxing techniques, which, let me sidebar, non-contact. In other words, Nobody in the gym is going to get punched. Okay. All right. So non-contact boxing, pushing people past what they think they can do. So when they say, wait a minute, you want me to do boxing? We're going to say yes. And we're going to push you past that perceived limitation. So with a point where you are then going to regain your balance, regain control of your movement. You're going to regain stability, speed, eye-hand coordination. And this is key, Judge. I'm going to let you break in 2 seconds, but this is key. All of those things combine to repair and put back together the broken synapses in your brain. They are going to reproduce dopamine, which is lost during the process of this disease. And you are going to then experience freedom of movement. And this is a great time to think about that, because tomorrow is the 4th of July and it's all about freedom. And our program is all about freedom of movement. There you have it.
And I know from experience going to Rocksteady that various people have different kinds of symptoms. There are some that have mental effects, some of them have memory issues, some of them have movement issues, etc. Do you deal with all of those areas, or do you specialize in only one or more?
Well, that is a great question. And it is a fact that Parkinson's is a very complex disease, much more so than almost anything else out there you can think of, because it can attack virtually every part of your body, from your brain down to your toes. So in our classes, we're going to address all of those things from the brain down to your toes. So if you are somebody whose Parkinson's appears in the form of a loss of cognition, let's say, those are exercises we're going to work on in the gym. We're going to work on memory skills. We're going to work on learning combinations of boxing that are going to challenge your brain. If you are a person whose process of the disease attacks your balance, we're going to be working on balance, and everything we do from the warm-up of the class through boxing and everything else we do really addresses balance. So in answer to your question, yes, whatever your symptoms are, even if the only symptom you have is the movement of your eyes, let's say, because some people experience that. They say, well, my Parkinson's isn't so bad because really the only thing it's affecting right now is my eyes or my hearing. And we say, okay, well, we're going to address that, but also you're going to learn everything else in class so that you don't down the road start experiencing these other symptoms that can happen. So whether you have one symptom or you have 20 symptoms, Rocksteady Boxing class is the place for you to fight Parkinson's. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you've never exercised a day in your life. It doesn't matter if you've been battling Parkinson's from your bed for 6 months, or you are a professional athlete. Whatever it is, if you have Parkinson's, we are going to help you through the method.
Well, a lot of people, including me, sometimes have tremors. Oftentimes hand tremors, arm tremors. And
yes.
Do you have a process of some kind that deals with that kind of issue as well?
Absolutely. And the tremor is an interesting thing because almost everybody out there, if you asked the general population, if you said, hey, do you know anything about Parkinson's disease? That person would usually say, yeah, it's when somebody has tremors. But the truth of the matter is not everyone has tremors. And in fact, most people don't have tremors with Parkinson's. But if they do, or if we're afraid that they might experience that down the road as they age with Parkinson's, one of the most important things we do in class is we make you get big. We want you to be big. Why is that? Because tremors make you small. The more your muscles are shrinking and constricting, the smaller you get. And the more small you get, the more anxious you get about what is happening to you. And when you feel anxious, the tremors are even worse. So what we're going to do in class is part of the modality that we teach is going to be stretching big, reaching all the way out. If you can't reach the ceiling, we're going to help you reach the ceiling. We're going to encourage you to start recognizing when your arm is straight and when it's not, when it's here or when it's here. So the more flexibility, the more length, the bigger you can get, the more you will be able to fight that tremoring muscle. So absolutely, that is something we work on. Also, a big part of that, like I said, can be anxiety. So some people will say, well, a symptom of my Parkinson's is my anxiety. And we might say, well, maybe you feel anxious about what is happening to you and you don't know, right? So we're going to educate you. Start to put your mind at ease. We're going to teach you that you can manage these symptoms, that you have control, that it is not, Parkinson's is not taking control of you. We're going to teach you how to take control of it so you can be less anxious and therefore less shaky. And then you're going to get big and your muscles are going to be long and strong instead of little and weak and shaky.
Let's take the audience through a typical class, starting with the opening, which of course is the warm-up. So tell us what you do in a warm-up and how long it generally takes, and give us a description.
Great. So one of the most devastating symptoms of unmanaged Parkinson's, in other words, a person who is doing nothing to manage their Parkinson's with movement, one of the most devastating symptoms can be loss of voice. I would say 9 out of 10 people who call us, that is one of their biggest concerns, is losing their voice, because they may have learned the hard truth that is, if you lose your voice, you may then lose your ability to swallow. And if you lose your ability to swallow, it's kind of at the end, right? And that is something we can control. We don't have to go down that road. So one of the things that we address in our warm-ups, which is going to be usually about 12 to 15 minutes of the start of every class, we're going to do a warm-up from head to toe, and we're going to include vocal work. So there could be a whole variety of vocal exercises that we do. It could be something fun, like being on a roller coaster and screaming at the top of your lungs, and we teach you how to do that. It could be singing. It could be walking around the room and introducing yourself to someone else loud enough that they can hear you. Whatever activity we do to work the voice, that's a big part of the warm-up. And then we're going to go into a variety of calisthenics, a lot of stuff people have seen before, whether it's marching, jumping jacks, squats, and more squats. So I think, Judge, we should take a moment during this segment to talk about squats, because that's a biggie, right? So we're going to talk about that. So we got the warm-up. Then we usually go into boxing, and we do work on the heavy bags. We do work on punch mitts with the coach, and we try to keep people in the general group of their ability, but our goal is always to push them so that they are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And then we do some kind of activity that is going to be targeting Parkinson's specifically. It could be strength training with weights. It could be agility training and balance training with agility ladders. It can be a whole variety of things. Medicine balls that we toss to each other for eye-hand coordination and balance. There's about 500,000 exercises on the planet on the top of my head right now, and we don't have time to go through all of them, but you can be sure that you're always going to do something different and something that engages you mentally, emotionally, physically, and vocally during class. And then we typically end class with a stretch. And again, we want to get those muscles long and strong. So we're going to do a stretch. And then we always end with a huddle. And if anybody out there has ever been to any sporting event anywhere in their life, you will know that a team huddles up and they get inspired and motivated and yelling and screaming. And we send you out of the room feeling 10,000 times better than when you walked in.
So it's about jabs, crosses, hooks, and uppercuts.
Yes, jabs, crosses, hooks, and uppercuts.
Tell us a little bit about what each represents and it's on its own.
Okay, so when you're a boxer and you have a jab, which is a long rotated punch, so where your hand rotates away from your body and extends, you are working on what we talked about earlier. You're working on reducing rigidity in your muscles. You're working on rotating your hand, which sometimes can be very stiff, right? And in boxing, your jab is used for a lot of different things. But in class, we're mostly wanting people to extend their arms so they can fight against the shrinking that can happen with Parkinson's. Sometimes they call Parkinson's the shrinking disease because people are getting little, and with your jab and then your cross, which is your right hand, which is virtually doing the same thing on the other side, we are looking for extending your muscles, rotating your hand, and you're also doing a lot of footwork and leg work and core work that is involved with those two punches.
Okay,
does that make sense?
Yeah, what exactly is core? I know we use it all the time, and you got to get to the core of things.
Yes, so and it drives me nuts sometimes to hear the word core so many times, right? For all intents and purposes right now, I'm gonna say, and there's other coaches out there who will say something different, but I'm gonna say that your core is basically your abdomen area, the area between your chest and your hips, let's say, okay? But what's important about your core is your belly button. Okay, a little tiny thing, but it's kind of a big deal. It's underrated. Okay, your belly button pulls into your spine to help you with balance. So when you hear the word core in class, it's usually accompanied with something about the belly button. Pull your belly button into your spine. That is going to contract your ab muscles and help you with balance and strength. So some coaches might say your core is everything from your chest down to your knees, and that's well and good. But for our purposes, we're going to say that the stronger your core is, the more balance, control, and overall strength and better posture you will have. And posture is another massive concern for people with Parkinson's, is the postural stability or loss thereof. So we're always reminding you to pull in your belly button, get your shoulders back and down, Push your chest out like a proud peacock. Don't walk around with your head down. There's nothing to see on the ground, right? Look up, be proud, look ahead. And you know what, Judge? It's a lot sexier too. It's a lot sexier to stand up straight, right? Yes.
I think so, but let's get on to the next point, which is called the hook. Tell us what a hook is and what it does.
Okay. With a hook, you are working on power, and you are working on control, and you're working on stability. So with a hook, your hands are no longer outstretched, but they are more here, and you're turning your body, and you're raising your elbows, and your thumbs are pointed up at the ceiling inside your gloves. And now you're using a lot of rib rotation or core rotation, pulling your belly button in, pivoting your feet. You're making yourself super stable and strong, and you're working on rotating and pivoting your feet, which is really important so your feet don't get stuck in the mud and they don't start to shuffle because they don't have a lot of movement. So we are always working on rotating the feet and practicing our balance and stability and strength with hooks.
Okay, next punch are uppercuts.
Uppercuts, my favorite. Also known as apricots sometimes. So your uppercut is when your hands are here. And the uppercut is another power punch. And it's another punch where we're rotating our feet. But now you have to bring your hands up over your head. And some people with Parkinson's have a really hard time doing that. They have a hard time bringing their arms up, right? So with your uppercuts, you're really going to be working on getting your hand over your head. Why do you care about getting your hand over your head? Well, maybe you want to be able to continue to brush your own hair. Maybe you want to put a hat on. Maybe you want to go to Trader Joe's and be able to reach the top shelf without having to ask somebody to do it for you. Okay, so we are the end game. The end goal of everything we do is so that people can maintain independence, right? And quality of life. So we want you to be able to continue to do things for yourself, which gives you a better sense of the quality of your life, a sense of purpose, right? And confidence. So when you're working on those uppercuts, you're getting your arms up, away from your body, up to the head, and that will help you continue to reach up so you can do things for yourself.
Let's talk about memory. I know that we have systems. Sometimes it's a mixture of jabs, crosses, and hooks, and whatever it is. What do we do to enhance people's memories?
I don't remember. Just kidding you, Judge. Okay, so every single thing we do, whether it's marching in place, you have to remember all of the little details of doing that, okay? But you can get very specific with boxing. So if I said to you, okay, guys, we're going to do a jab, cross, hook, uppercut, cross, hook, jab, jab, cross, okay? And I'm going to say, all right, now you guys remember what I just said, okay? Now, it's not going to be that big chunk at one time, but we're going to work up to boxing combinations that are going to stimulate your brain. And then you have to start to remember the details of each of those things. A jab and a cross is different from a hook and an uppercut, right? So we might say something like, okay, guys, we're going to start off this combination with the jab, jab, cross. So everybody's going to do their jab, jab, cross. You're going to have 2 jabs and a cross, okay? And then I might say, All right, everybody, we're going to add a left hook and a right uppercut. Okay. And then I'm going to stop talking. And you are going to have an opportunity to work on that on your own. Okay, wait a second. So I'm supposed to do a jab, and that's when I fully extend. And now I got a cross, so I got to pivot my back foot. And now I'm doing a hook, so I got to get my elbow up, thumb up. And now I got an uppercut, so I got to get my hand over my head. That's a lot to process, right? And so we're constantly processing all the different instructions in class, all of the different things that are being thrown at you. And through time, you're going to start to remember them. And then we're going to throw something else at you and challenge you again. So I think one of the biggest fears that people have about coming to class, even when they listen to this podcast, even though I am saying in 11 years of experience that every single person can do this, there's still going to be 100 people out there who think that they're the one person who can't. Okay. And they are going to hesitate to come into the gym because they're going to hear this and they're going to think, well, I can't do that. How am I going to do a jab, jab, cross, hook, uppercut, hook, blah, blah, blah? And it's because we are going to break everything down for you at your level. We are going to help you understand the details. You are going to work at your own pace, but we're going to help push you to get better and better and better. And the guarantee we make to you is you will. You will understand it the same way every other person eventually gets it. But you're never gonna stop learning because you are never too old with Parkinson's or otherwise to learn new things and stimulate your brain and get that dopamine pumping through your system. You can do it. Everybody can do it. We promise that, we guarantee it, we deliver it every single class.
I know we have people in various shapes. Some people are there in wheelchairs. Some people are there with almost no symptoms. Some of the people in my class don't appear to have any symptoms whatsoever, but they're there. And
Yes.
So I guess you could say it runs the gamut from all kinds, symptomatic to asymptomatic, and there's something in it for everybody. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Like we kind of touched on a little bit earlier, everybody has such a wide variety of symptoms. And some people, like you said, you might not even know they have Parkinson's because some of their symptoms might be more internal, whether it's like we talked about, loss of mental focus, loss of some cognitive issues, memory issues. So you can't really look across the room and say, oh, that person has Parkinson's, that person doesn't. Everybody in the class does. And like we talked about, we're going to address all those things. But really what it comes down to, Judge, is what the bottom line, the foundation of what we do is the community that we create. So let's just say that, let's say you had a surgery, which happens all the time, right? Let's say you went out for knee replacement surgery and you think to yourself, well, I'm not going to be able to go to class for 3 months. And that's depressing to you. Well, yes, you can still come to class because A, there's a lot of things we do that you don't have to use your one knee for, right? B, we're going to modify exercises. C, most importantly, your community is still there. The people who support you and encourage you and inspire and motivate you to fight this disease are still there. So come to class. Come to class and just be amongst your fighting family. Let them put a smile on your face.
Well, that is an important consideration because I know we do things other than just the classes. Like we have a run that we did a couple of weeks ago, and we have various events. And you really do feel a sense of community because you do all share the same thing. in common. What do you do about coordination? Anything specific that you could think of?
Woo! So many things. Okay, first of all, boxing, tons of coordination, right? You got to coordinate everything from your brain down to your toes. Okay. But we also have specific coordination exercises. And one of the things, Judge, is it kind of varies sometimes from gym to gym, depending on the amount of space that we have. Like our Camarillo gym is huge. It's about literally 6 times the size of the one you go to in Calabasas, right? And then the one in Thousand Oaks is about half the size of Camarillo, but still double the size of Calabasas. And then, of course, we have Zoom, which you started to mention earlier when you were doing the introduction. And Zoom is really, really important also because people are logging in from all over the world right now. Thank God, right? And their neurologists are recommending our Zoom program because even on Zoom, not being in the gym, people are still having phenomenal benefits from the program. So that's really cool. But going back to the agility work or coordination, as you said, depending on the gym, the amount of space, who's there, we do all kinds of stuff. We work on agility ladders that.
What's an agility ladder?
Okay, so an agility ladder is, let's say you took a regular ladder that you use to go on your roof at home and you put it on the floor, okay, but only it was made of rope or tape or something like that. And you were able to work in and out of the ladder doing various footwork drills. That really works on coordination. And that's a tool that any professional athlete on the planet uses during their training, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, or otherwise. So that's a tool that we use in the gym. We use agility ladders. We use medicine balls that we do a variety of exercises with, from tossing to your partner, coordinating your movement with their movement. We do something called Chase the Rabbit, where you are.
I was going to ask about that.
Yes, it's.
I was going to mention Chase the Rabbit.
Yes,
everybody loves it.
Classic rock steady boxing exercise, Chase the Rabbit, where everybody's in a circle and they're moving around in a circle using their feet, but they're also tossing the ball back and forth to each other. So you're working on everything from eye-hand coordination, strength, flexibility, all kinds of footwork movement, vocalization, calling out the name of the person you're about to toss the ball to. So those kinds of exercises are pretty complex. They're not just working on one thing. And those are the kind of exercises we really like to incorporate in the gym, where, you know, anybody can go into a big box gym and stand in one place and pump a dumbbell up and down. Okay. But you can add 16 other things to do while you're doing this that are really going to work your brain and your voice and your posture and your balance and all the things we've been talking about. So sometimes people say, well, why should I come to Rocksteady Boxing Gym and not just go to the big gym down the street from me? Okay, well, part of that I just answered. Because, well, first of all, when you go to that gym, you're not going to be in a room full of people with Parkinson's who are all fighting the same fight that you're fighting. You're not going to be with coaches who are highly trained in how to address all the very complex needs of Parkinson's people, not general population gym people. Okay. And you're not going to have the community at that. And you're going to be doing more simple exercises in a big box gym that don't address all of your specific symptoms. So we
do a lot of counting. I want to talk about that. And, you know, if you walk outside and the door is open, you can hear inside. What you hear is 10, 9, 8, and so forth. Why do we do counting?
You know, I say that. I ask all the time. I'll say to the class, and you know how much we joke around and we have fun and we laugh. And one of the things I say to people is, hey guys, do you think we're counting from 10 to 1 because we don't know how to do that? Do we really need to practice counting from 10 to 1? Well, no, but we do need to practice our voice, and we do need to use our voice. And when you are counting from 10 to 1, not only are you using your voice, but you're creating a sense of enthusiasm and excitement when you've been working really hard and you're getting close to the end of a segment or an exercise, and you got 10 more seconds to go, and you know it, you're going to push yourself that much harder for that last 10 seconds, right? So you're marching along and maybe you're getting tired, or you're jab crossing and you're getting tired. But when you hear the 10, you know you got to give it everything you got until we go down to 1 and you finally have a chance to stop and breathe and catch your breath and get some water. And so it not only works your voice, but it creates a sense of enthusiasm in the gym.
And I wanted to address ropes. I know we do that too. Not one of my favorite things, mind you, but it is there. Tell us what it is and what you do with the ropes.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you a quick question. Why is it not your favorite thing?
I don't know. It requires a lot of energy, I suppose. And my muscles get tired from lifting the ropes back and forth, up and down, side to side. So not that and weights are not my favorites.
Okay. Okay. Well, I had a feeling you were going to say that. I think there's a reason why they call them battle ropes, right? Because it's a battle to do them. And I love battle ropes because, first of all, I like how kick butt it is, right? And when I'm doing them myself, I'm thinking about the guys in the army who are out there in the desert and they're doing their battle ropes. We're doing the same thing, right? You got to get your feet apart. You got to stabilize your body. You got to get that core tightened up again, belly button to spine. You got to get your arms moving away from your body. You have to coordinate the movement. So there's another coordination exercise. People either love the ropes or they hate the ropes, but they typically hate them because they're so darn hard, right? And that brings us all the way back. Forced, intense exercise.
What about butt kickers?
Okay, butt kickers.
I like the phrase, I thought explain what that is.
Yeah, butt kickers are kind of the name itself says what it is, right? We say sometimes in life you have to kick your own butt, right? Another great warm-up exercise, another complex exercise. There's so many things you can do with your arms and butt kickers. It's endless. So you don't have to get bored, right? And you are warming up your hamstrings, your quadricep muscles, your booty. You're coordinating your arms with your feet, which is another thing people with Parkinson's will say all the time. They'll say, I just have a really hard time coordinating my hands and my feet. So there's another great exercise to help you learn to do that. And I got to take a little sidebar. Get it, Judge? Sidebar? Okay. I'm going to take a little sidebar. And what we are doing at its essence is we are retraining your brain. Retrain the brain. Retrain the brain. That is what we are doing. So if you are having trouble coordinating your hands and feet, we are taking little pieces at a time. Sometimes, let's say we just do the feet where we get our heels back to our butt. That's going to start the coordination process, retraining your brain for coordination. And then we're going to add arms. So that now you got to coordinate 4 different parts of your body. You got to coordinate from the left to right brain. You're retraining your brain. Whatever it is that we are doing in class, ultimately, that's what we're doing. We're combining forced intense exercise, pushing people past perceived limitation, using boxing-inspired techniques to retrain the brain, refire the synapses in new directions, produce dopamine, and kick butt over Parkinson's symptoms.
Well, one of the other things that I'm not wild about are the weights. So I know it's the second, it's after the boxing portion. Tell us why we use weights and what kind of weights we use.
I guess the most basic answer is for strength, to build strong muscles. And also with weights, there's resistance training, which is proven probably since forever. I mean, probably hundreds of years. It's known that with resistance training, you are increasing the strength of your bones, right? You have to have resistance on your bones to make your bones stronger. So not only are we working on muscular strength, but we're working on increasing the strength of the bones, which is so important because we want them to be strong. We don't want them to break, right? And so really it's pretty simple. So with strength training, there's a billion ways to do it. We tend to use dumbbells in class because it's simple. It's easy for everybody to just grab dumbbells. And it's easy for people to learn how to then incorporate some of those things at home, right? It's easy to get a couple of 2, 3, 5 pound dumbbells at home and practice these exercises for strength training. As you grow older, as you age, your bones become more brittle, your muscles become weaker unless you are working them. That's across the board, whether you have Parkinson's or not. But when you add Parkinson's on, then you really have to work hard to increase your muscle strength and increase the resistance on your bones and work really hard to stabilize so you do not fall and you do not break a hip because your bones are so weak and brittle, and then you got a big setback, right? So it's really important that all the different parts of your body are strong, but especially your muscles and bones. Well, I say that now, but then if we were in class, I would say the most important thing is to keep this guy strong, right? This is the rainmaker right here. This guy we got to keep really, really strong.
I know toward the end of our sessions, our classes, usually around 11:30, we do something called a stretch.
Yes.
What's the purpose of the stretch? Is it like Pilates? And what exactly is the purpose of doing stretching after we've done the warm-up and the boxing?
Well, it's, again, so many different things. It's kind of a classic way in exercise in general to end any form of exercise that you're doing. But it's especially important, again, because we're going back to Parkinson's always. It's especially important with Parkinson's, like I said before, to keep the length of your muscles, to keep them long and strong. The longer they are, the stronger they are. So we want to cool down the body because we've gone from this high intensity workout and now we want to cool it down and we want to work on lengthen the muscles, especially in boxing when you're in this position, because everything from boxing comes from the front. And now we want to kind of work on your posture first and foremost. With stretch is really important. Every stretch we start, we're typically going to tell you to squeeze your shoulder blades together and relax your shoulders, which is automatically going to remind you to have better posture. And then we're going to take the stretches from there. So we're doing a lot of different things. We're changing our thought process from this high intensity to cooling it down to calming down. We are calming our central nervous system. That's really important, especially for people who experience high anxiety with Parkinson's. We want to give them an opportunity to breathe, focus on their breath, strengthening your lungs, releasing tension and anxiety from your mind and body, having an opportunity to really think about the connection between your mind and your body. And again, going back to breath, so important. You'll notice that each coach has maybe a couple of things that they are super passionate about. They're passionate about all the different modalities that we teach during class, but they have their little thing, their thing that Coach Yvette does, the thing that Coach Lisa does. And one of the things that I really try to focus on, we all focus on breath. All of us focus on breath, but maybe we focus on it in a different way. And for me, it's an opportunity because I know from members, boxers who have come to me and are really struggling with depression and anxiety, they really want that opportunity at the end of class to be able to let that go, right? Because they don't want to walk out of the gym with it and take it home with them. So stretch, there's so many different things going on, but simply it's a way to focus on your breath, release tension, anxiety, sadness, bad thoughts from your body, focus on making yourself long and strong, and leaving the gym feeling maybe more at peace with what you are dealing with on a daily basis.
Well, I want to first of all thank you, Lisa, for great explanations. I'm a personal endorser, obviously. So how do people get in touch with you guys to either, I know you provide a free first visit so people can try it. I tried it out the first time and I said, what the hell is this really all about? But I went back a second time. I'm still there after 3 years. So,
yes.
And my doctor told me that not only has the progression stopped, but I'm less rigid and there's an improvement, getting better instead of getting worse. So how do people get in touch with you and how do they take advantage of the opportunity?
First of all, I am so excited to hear how well you're doing. And we see that all the time. And we see all of our boxers improving, getting stronger, better posture, louder voices. It is awesome. And like I said before, it's a guarantee. We promise you're going to get the benefits of our program and you are going to get stronger. No doubt about it. Second of all, if you are not close to one of our gyms, which we currently have gyms in Camarillo, Thousand Oaks Westlake, Calabasas. If you cannot get to one of those gyms, you must join us on Zoom. We teach live on Zoom. We don't post a video for you to follow. We teach live and interactive so we can help individuals in the Zoom class and we can give them modifications and help them work at their own level the same way that we do in the gym. And as you said before, most people find us because they're neurologists, movement specialists, doctors, and physical therapists send them to us because they see how phenomenal our program is and how well it works. But you can also just give us a call. You can go on to our awesome website, rocksteadyboxingvcla.com. You can learn a lot by going on our website. You can watch some great videos on our YouTube channel. But like I always tell people, do not waste time researching the heck out of Parkinson's. When you get that diagnosis, get off your computer and get into the gym because that is going to be the start of the best thing you have ever done in your entire life for yourself and your family.
What a great ending to this interview, really. Yes. And I look forward to seeing you again. I know I saw you yesterday. I'm looking forward to seeing you so you can say how good you were. So anyway, you were terrific. Thank you so much. I think the public is going to get a lot out of listening to what you had to say today. So thanks again, Lisa.
Awesome. Thank you, Judge. I'll see you in class.
Yes, you will.
Okay. Rock steady.